The Stories of Our Children, Part 1. The Department of Justice defines murder as the unlawful killing of a human being with malice. As per statistical information gathered, the U.S. population in 2021 was 331.9 million people. In 2021, in the U.S. there were 26,031 murders reported. Deaths per 100,000 people in the US is 7.8. Some people may look at those numbers and think they're not so bad. Others may look at them and think, oh well, it'll never happen to me, while others may be horrified by them for a moment, then move on. What most people fail to see is the people behind those numbers. When one person murders another, it doesn't just stop there. Every single murder victim is someone's child. Someone's heart. The following video hopes to serve as a reminder of love, of loss, and of a pain we pray you never know. A reminder that murder destroys more lives than statistics can count. What follows are the stories of our murdered children. These are the stories the news only shows locally. These are the stories you've probably never heard of. Here, the names of their killers are left out with great intention. This is not about them. These are the stories of our children. And why they're not here. How lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. Winnie the Pooh. Jacob Gary, December 8, 2023 to October 23, 2022. Jacob Gary grew up in Missouri before moving with his family to Illinois. Jacob was a good kid, played basketball, and made friends easily. He had no idea how different things were in Illinois compared to Missouri. October 22, 2022, around 1:30 a.m., officers on foot patrol heard gunshots. When they arrived on the scene, they found Jacob on the ground. He had been shot in the back. He didn't survive. Jacob had not met his killer previously. Apparently, his killer had a beef with a guy Jacob knew, and since he couldn't get who he wanted, he took it out on Jacob instead. Jacob was a dad when he was murdered. He had a little boy who looks just like him. That wasn't all though. His girlfriend was 2 months along when he died. Jacob never got to meet his adorable baby daughter. Sebastian Carpio, September 25, 2002 to September 20, 2020. Sebastian Carpio, a 17-year-old characterized by kindness and joy, vanished after a bike ride on September 18, 2020. Despite being an only child, he exuded the wisdom of an old soul. His last call to his mother, promising to return from the ride, became the prelude to a tragic mystery. Hours passed without Sebastian's return, prompting his worried mother to search for him. Recovering his bike and phone but finding no trace of Sebastian, the distress deepened. 2 days later, his remains were discovered in the trunk of a stolen and burned vehicle. On October 1, 2020, Sebastian's murderer turned himself in, charged with homicidal violence. Opting for a plea deal, the murderer exposed accomplice details. 3 years later, a second suspect awaits trial after being charged and indicted by a grand jury for involvement in the murder. Sebastian's irreplaceable loss fuels his mother's unwavering pursuit of justice, hoping the legal system will hold all accountable for the heinous crime. Jordan Hayward, August 13, 2001 to May 1, 2023. Jordan Hayward was different from most of his peers. He was soft-spoken, was passionate about basketball, and he looked forward to church every Sunday. He had always found joy in helping others. Jordan dreamed of being a firefighter and was in training to realize his dream. One evening, Jordan was walking home from the store with a couple friends. A man, unknown to the 3 young men, started harassing them. The man demanded to know where they were from. They ignored the man and kept walking. They weren't looking for trouble. The same could not be said for the man harassing them. When his demands for information he wasn't entitled to were ignored. He pulled out a gun and started firing. Jordan was hit by no less than 2 bullets and as a result lost his life. No one has been arrested or charged with Jordan's murder. A reward of up to $20,000 is available to anyone that comes forward with information that leads to the arrest and conviction of the persons responsible for this murder. Anonymous calls can be submitted by calling the Citizens Crime Commission at 215-546-TIPS. Information can also be submitted to the Philadelphia Police Department online or by calling 215-686-TIPS. Samantha Dean, May 12, 1985 to February 4, 2015. Imagine, for a moment, a young woman proudly working to help others through victim services. She's passionate, caring, intelligent. She has a bright future. Until one night, she ends up in an abandoned parking lot, lured there by lies. Once there, she is brutally gunned down. The woman's name, Samantha Dean, and this happened February 4, 2015. It didn't just end there. Turned out, she had been the victim of a murder for hire. The person responsible was an on-again / off-again boyfriend. Why? Because she refused to abort his child. He didn't just hire someone to kill Samantha, he hired someone to kill Madeline Rose Dean, their unborn daughter, at 7 months gestation. Did one mention he was a police officer? Samantha Dean was 29 years old, and baby Maddie never got to draw a breath. The murder of Samantha and Maddie devastated her family and rocked a community. Trevor Boyer, February 9, 1987 to June 16, 2015. Trevor was making a living in Oklahoma. He was a Big O mechanic supervisor by day and moonlighted at night as a bartender. He loved fishing and dogs. More than anything, he loved his son. He rented a house with a longtime friend. Things were going fine, until late one evening the two roommates got into a heated argument. Trevor didn't survive the knife in his chest. For whatever reason, the roommate decided to bury Trevor under a parking structure across from their house. He then set fire to the building to hide his crime. The roommate was arrested 3 days later. Eventually he pleaded guilty, was convicted and sentenced. Stephen Chambers, March 16, 1989 to August 17, 2015. Stephen loved sports and was very athletic. It was nothing for him to hop on his bike and pedal 14 miles to see family. He wasn't all brawn with no brain. Stephen was highly intelligent, and it showed from an early age. He had a vocabulary adults would envy. Stephen's life hadn't been easy, but things were starting to work themselves out for the better. Stephen had fallen in love, and his girlfriend was in her 7th month when he was murdered. 2 months later, a beautiful baby girl made her debut. The small town of Magna was rocked on August 17, 2015, when the body of a young man was found on the road. That young man was Stephen, and he had died from a gunshot wound. 2 days later, the body of a young woman, also shot, was discovered in a park not far from where Stephen had been found. Both murders were done by the same person. After a lot of the legal system delays, that person was tried and convicted of both murders and was to 40 years to life in prison. Samantha Beaver, June 14, 1999 to January 3, 2020. Samantha was a sweet, popular young woman. She had a special love of animals and enjoyed running track. If you met Samantha, you couldn't help but love her. Her sweet personality always shone through her beautiful smile. In the early morning hours of January 3, 2020, Samantha decided to go for a walk. The weather outside was rainy and foggy, typical for that time of year in North Carolina. Shortly before sunrise, on the most dangerous road in the area, Samantha's young life came to a sudden end when she was struck by a car. The driver of the car was not charged in the death of this vibrant young woman. People in the area call the road Death Row, and many people have lost their lives on this stretch of road. Derek Hartz, October 15, 1987 to June 13, 2023, Derek faced a unique challenge from birth. He was born without a hip socket, discovered at 9 months. Surgeries followed, leading to a leg length discrepancy. At 15, a hip replacement couldn't erase the impact. Leg issues caused scoliosis and chronic pain. Despite struggles, Derek sought meaningful connections with his peers. Derek's generosity knew no bounds, even when taken advantage of. His response, "It's okay, Mom." His selflessness endeared him to many. Tragically, Derek's life was cut short. The morning of his murder, I awoke to his familiar, "Hey Mom," expecting plans. 8 hours later, detectives shattered the peace. Derek William Hartz, 35, gone. His immense heart, humor, culinary passion, and love for his terrier Kai, my son, now cherished memories. Donovan McKinky, August 14, 1993 to July 19, 2020, Donovan was his mom's first rainbow baby. He came into this world with his cord wrapped around his neck and his arm, middle finger up, flipping the world off. A gesture that would be his trademark for life. He was full of adventure and compassion, bringing strays home on a weekly basis, animal and human. A loyal and fierce protector of his family and friends, especially his baby brother. Donnie never knew a stranger. A stranger didn't take my son's life. A twisted girlfriend and her acquaintances did that. With forethought and malice in their hearts. They planned their betrayal, ambushed him, and overpowered him. He was left to die alone in the 6th Street tunnels in Las Vegas, while they went back to their lives, stealing his dog and possessions in the process. Despite having bragged about their crime, there has been no justice. Many knew Donovan, many knew who did this, but not one are brave enough to come forward, yet. DeVary Schiller, October 17, 1992 to June 26, 2016. Aside from being smart and gorgeous, DeVary Schiller had a personality that was impossible to forget once you met her. Those 3 things combined made her a force to be reckoned with. DeVary Schiller went to the store with a friend. The next day, her lifeless body was found in a secluded area of the city park, across the street from her home. She had been beaten and strangled. She was 23 years old. While her killer is known, they have yet to be charged or arrested. If you have any information about this case, please contact California City Police Department, 661-373-8606. Ask for Larry Brandenburg. There is a $25,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of conviction of her killer. Raymond Sines, October 5, 1989 to October 11, 2019. Ray was a very giving soul that would help those less fortunate any chance he had. A few days before his death, he bought a meal for a young homeless man. After he passed, the same young man came across a car wash held in Ray's name. The young man stayed and washed cars, in honor of the man who once helped him. Ray had always been the life of the party. On the evening of October 11, 2019, Ray went to a local bar with a friend. At the bar, they did what you do at a bar. They had a few drinks and some good conversation. Nothing out of the ordinary. Inevitably, as it always happens, Ray got up to go use the restroom. After entering the men's room, he was ambushed and shot, dying almost immediately. His attackers then calmly walked out of the restroom, then out of the bar. It took 4 months for them to be arrested. They are now awaiting trial for his murder and other charges. Aljamaar Houari, October 15, 1991 to November 21, 2020. When Aljamaar was 4, he asked his mom for a little brother, because everyone else had one. Mom said sure. A year later, Mom gives him the baby brother he requested. 6 months later, Aljamaar asked if they could change his baby brother into a puppy instead. Mom said no. Fast forward to November 21, 2020. Aljamaar is a grown man, married, with babies, happy. As he sat in his car, waiting for his wife to get off work, he is brutally attacked. Before he knew what was happening, his life ended. This should have never happened, and here's why. Shortly before the attack, the man had been given a ride there by a deputy. When the deputy picked the man up, he took a large Bowie knife from him. When he dropped him off, he gave the weapon back and went into the store. Moments later, the same deputy came out of the store. He shot and apprehended the attacker, but it was too late. Aljamaar was gone. The lives of every person that loved him forever changed. This never should have happened, but it did. We would like to thank you for watching our video and taking the time to learn about our children. These videos were created and produced by Remedy Lee Stoner as part of Pages to Remember Memorial Coloring Books, page store member at yahoo.com. If you or someone you know is interested in having a memorial coloring book done, please send an email to pagestoremember@yahoo.com.